When you look at a map of Canada, most regions make sense: coastlines, cities, highways. But then there's the top. That massive, icy space most people skip over without a second thought. What is all that? Up past the Arctic Circle lies a frozen maze of islands few have heard of. No roads, no towns, no tourist guides. Just glaciers, fossil forests, and some of the most extreme environments on Earth. If you're into places that feel more like another planet than anything on a postcard, hit subscribe to Beyond Atlas Explore. Let's head north, way north, and uncover the forgotten edge of Canada. Most people have heard of a few Arctic islands, Baffin Island, for example. It's massive, home to the capital of Nunavut, Iqaluit, and even features dramatic landscapes like Mount Thor and Auyuituk National Park. Then there's Ellesmere Island, even farther north. It's famous for Eilert, the northernmost permanently inhabited place on Earth, and the remote Kootenay-Paak National Park. But after that, for most Canadians, and almost everyone else, the rest of the Arctic archipelago is a total blank. And that's where things get interesting, because north of Ellesmere lies a massive cluster of islands so remote, so untouched, they barely get mentioned in geography class. These are the Queen Elizabeth Islands, and within them lies a group that's even more forgotten, the Sverdrup Islands. This is where our real adventure begins. Tucked deep inside the Queen Elizabeth Islands, the Sverdrup Islands are as remote as it gets. No cities, no roads, not even a single year-round resident, just hundreds of ice-covered islands scattered across the top of the world. Geographically, they're split between Nunavut and the Northwest Territories, but in reality, they feel like another planet. These islands make up about 14% of the world's glacier and ice cap area, if you exclude Antarctica and Greenland. Yeah, that much ice. The group is named after Otto Sverdrup, a Norwegian explorer who was the first to map this frozen frontier between 1898 and 1902. And even though Inuit communities had once lived on some of these lands, Sverdrup boldly claimed them for Norway, but Norway wasn't too interested, at least not until 1928, when they used the islands as bargaining chips in talks with Britain over other disputed territories. Eventually, in 1930, Norway stepped back, and Canada officially took full sovereignty over the islands. It's a strange bit of political history for a place where, today, not a single person lives. Out of all the Sverdrup Islands, one stands above the rest, literally. Axel Heiberg Island is the largest and most mountainous in the group, and it's unlike anywhere else in Canada. Nearly half the island is covered in glaciers, including the massive White Glacier, where ice can reach a mind-blowing 400 meters thick. Its tallest peak, Outlook Peak, rises 2,211 meters into the frigid Arctic sky. But here's where it gets wild. Deep under the snow and ice are fossilized forests that date back over 50 million years to a time when this island wasn't frozen at all. Back then, it was a lush, swampy forest, not far from the North Pole. These ancient trees are still there, preserved in permafrost, offering a surreal window into Earth's past. And that's not all. In the 1950s, researchers from McGill University set up a small base here, McGill Arctic Research Station, a handful of huts and tents that now serve a surprising role: space science. Because the conditions on Axel Heiberg are so extreme, NASA and astrobiologists have used it as a Mars analog site. They test out planetary rovers, research tools, and even study what life might look like in alien environments. In other words, this isn't just a remote Canadian island, it's a stand-in for Mars. And you've probably never even heard of it. Just southeast of Axel Heiberg sits Elif Ringnes Island, a place that feels more like the surface of another planet than any typical island. It's Canada's 16th largest island, roughly the size of Jamaica, but almost entirely flat. Except for one strange feature: salt domes. These giant underground pillars of anhydrite and gypsum have pushed their way to the surface, forming isolated hills across an otherwise flat Arctic plain. From space, they stand out like scars on the landscape. The tallest point on the island? It's one of those domes. Nearby lies Amund Ringnes Island, the 25th largest island in Canada. It's similar in structure, low, remote, and brutally cold. Together, these two islands are rarely studied, rarely visited, and rarely mentioned in anything outside of obscure scientific papers. By the way, if you've made it this far, you're definitely my kind of explorer. I'm on a mission to hit 100 subscribers, and if you're enjoying this, it would mean the world if you hit that subscribe button. Seriously, every click helps. Beyond Atlas Explore grow into something even bigger. Back to the islands. What makes this area even more impressive is what's not there. No trees, almost no animals, just wind, ice, and time. But somehow, life still clings on. These islands may look empty at first glance, but life has found a way to exist here, even in the harshest conditions Canada has to offer. The Sverdrup Islands are locked in deep freeze for most of the year. With long polar nights, brutal winds, and average temperatures well below zero, it's not exactly a thriving ecosystem. And yet, something endures. You'll find around 49 species of vascular plants here, tough little survivors that cling to cracks in the rock, growing low to the ground to avoid the wind. They bloom for just a few weeks each year, then vanish beneath snow for months. When it comes to wildlife, it's a short but impressive list. Musk oxen, lumbering across the tundra in small herds. Peary caribou, a critically endangered subspecies that depends on Arctic islands like these. Arctic foxes, built for stealth and survival. And of course, the kings of the ice, polar bears. Birdlife is also surprisingly present, especially in summer. Species like snow buntings, jaegers, and Arctic terns make the long journey north to breed in peace, far from predators and people. It's a fragile, low-energy ecosystem, but it works. And it's one of the most remote and least disturbed environments left on the planet. So here we are, at the edge of Canada, and at the edge of what most people even know exists. The Sverdrup Islands aren't just remote, they're almost mythical. A place where glaciers outnumber people and silence stretches for hundreds of kilometers. There are no hotels, no airports, no tourist maps, just wind, ice, fossils, and stories waiting to be discovered. Places like Axel Heiberg, Elif Ringnes, and Amund Ringnes offer something rare in today's world. True isolation and a glimpse of Earth as it once was, and maybe how it could be again. Did you know these islands even existed before today? And if you had the chance, would you go? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this kind of content speaks to your curiosity, your love of remote places, or your inner explorer, hit subscribe. Join me as we keep going beyond the Atlas. More forgotten worlds are waiting.